Alright, hello everybody. What is going on, Angelica? Hello, great to see you. How have you been? I am so extremely tired. I just kind of woke up from a nap just before. But we're gonna power through this, that's right. We are back into the letter, and we are on, halfway through Rebecca's route, I believe. So, by today, we are going to be finishing Rebecca's route. Let's hope that I can read today. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get while we're playing the long waiting game, teetering between sheer optimism and despair. Hello, Ruth, how we doing? Ka-ching, hello, how we doing? Are you still playing Street Fighter at the moment? It was actually a lot of fun watching that. I'm not really big into fighting games, but it actually looks pretty good. It looks pretty dang good. By the way, guys, if any of you guys are from YouTube and or Twitch, check out Ka-ching on his channel as well. He's got some amazing content. I usually tune in for his Genshin ones, but every now and then he has some rare gems here and there. You taking a break? Excellent. Her aunt's arrival this morning has dampened the edge to that somewhat, though only by some. The uncertainty is still there, unspoken throughout the brief time we talked, simply hanging stiffly above our heads. Having another person with us helps, however. I can tell the same doubts has crossed her mind the second she saw her in that room. Oh, we're talking about Isabella right now. Poor Isabella. Oh, that poor girl. She's in the hospital because she got run over by a car. Ashton himself doesn't look too hopeful when he left a night ago. It was a wordless exchange, partly sullied by my lingering anger and his exhaustion, but has left a sullen atmosphere in the room nonetheless. Oh man, yeah, because we saw Ash profess his love to a comatose Isabella while we were just on the sidelines. Oh, that must hurt, girl! Ooh, that must hurt!
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back into my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony though, still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking, compared to, say, London or Glasgow. It's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. Has any of you guys ever been to London or Glasgow? I feel like I've been there. I know London for sure, but But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. And if you pay close enough attention, faces taking the crosswalk or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number, it has to be Tio fucking Luke I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow.
Oh, thanks for the alert, Kachang. You haven't been there? Oh, it's beautiful in London. I mean, apart from the weather sometimes, but
Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Oh my god, this guy.
Are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. Oh, it's career day today! Is that why maybe Kylie brought Tio Luke, or Godfather Luke? It's not that he stands out. He's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him. Unwilling to make a bet, he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him, I know immediately that one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. That's right, because we did bump into Luke at the cafe, I should say, and we thought he was kidnapping Kylie, hence why we attacked him. And yikes, did we make a mistake. He also exudes that air. The sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. Oh my god. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. And you're also a teacher, Rebecca. Now, I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I've no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but crivens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event. Maybe stay around to assist if time will allow. What? That is a big box. Oh my goodness. Ooh, what are you eating, Angelica? Yum. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with the guy. Can't go wrong with Rice. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they listened. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it. But he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me and attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to cover my face, to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top. But if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Oh my god, Rebecca! Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That would definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie, but as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone barrels towards me. She latches onto my waist before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
Ooh, that is a squeal. The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides, with the child's added weight at my waist pinning me on the spot and both my hands occupied. Watching is the only thing I'm able to do. The short second in between slows and everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time, comical even, until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor.
Oh, careful now, Daisy. Don't make a mess here.
Damn it. My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Oh my goodness, what a gentleman, right? I know, it's Kylie's high-pitched voice. Irritation gives way to surprise, then confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in, and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? Ugh, so much for being a center of academic excellence.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand?
Ooh.
Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help.
Nope, he wants some of these panties is what he wants.
Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Ooh.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, he loves this.
You have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right. He is kind of like Draco from Harry Potter, like with the hairstyle and all, and the smugness. Oh, I love the smugness.
You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Oh my god. Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've just said merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that, actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Teo's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone. Teo says it's confidential.
Oh, wait, is Kylie's dad working for Luke as muscle?
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Teo's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
Oh god. I'm still in the opinion that he's a piece of shite, but I must admit, his goddaughter's excitement is contagious as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh god.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
Kylie.
You heard the kid.
Oh god.
no one's asking you.
You wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that.
Happy Pride Month to you too, Angelica?
Shall we give it a try? Again?
He pales, stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. Oh man, it's because he's scared that we're gonna hit him with a book to the face again. Oh man, did we hit him in the face or did we hit him in the balls? I forgot now. Do you guys remember? He's probably having flashbacks of the last time we met. It was definitely with a book though. His composure, when he finally regains some of his bearings, says it all. It's nothing short of hilarious, if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy. Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat.
It's a promise.
How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you. Just because you landed a hit.
That's right, Luke. Stand up to the bully.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent.
Dent where?
If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburn Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
Back of the head and his balls? Oh man, we hit him twice? God, I thought we hit him once. Wow, good memory, Ruth. He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Oh, he's helping us. Not that it matters who brings it in now. My prior irritation has already melted into amusement. Oh man, now we're smug. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Oh wow, are we using our teaching skills to like just to offset Luke? Though, I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this asshole is suddenly acting like a decent human he's quite frankly far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Oof, yeah, you're right, Ruth. Why is he acting friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much.
Oh, Kylie!
I think you're gonna be great friends.
Kylie! I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. Ugh. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning.
Yum.
Really brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Licorice?
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takako this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
Oh, Melody and Takako are Kylie's friends.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole trunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Oh, that's right, because our parents were academics as well, and I don't think we've seen them much, unfortunately. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year. And sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. Aww. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there, familiar though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back. Having gotten tired of clinging to me, there's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by that fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real and how much is there to mask the loneliness, if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
Oh.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave.
Ooh, more jelly
I've been a
babies?
good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are.
You are.
But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you?
That
For
douche.
this?
Nope, they didn't.
Oh.
No. Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today.
Oh, Hannah.
Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping.
Oh, maybe she is at the doctor's because she's preggers, but Luke doesn't want to admit it. Oh.
That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick. It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home.
Yum.
I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large.
Aww.
Don't tell Takako, okay?
Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture why Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from the demanding child unless you made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone, wherever she is. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. Well, I mean, he's rich. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type, and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. I feel like Luke might find her a bit annoying, but at the same time, like, he enjoys Kylie's company a bit. Maybe. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather.
True.
Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome.
Aw.
Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, Douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. No shite given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
Tia married you.
Oh man. You're done eating? Ooh, yum. You full? Kylie drops the statement with any sort of preface. And the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically. But it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend her Tio's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before, on Ashton, whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either sides of her shoulder. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute, there's a smile on his face I can't place. Tender, by all means, for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
Aw.
She is? But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
She's finance manager.
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Aww.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
Aww. For some reason, I don't think he's still talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. Luke. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed the change in him. He really does love Hannah, huh? In a way, in his way. The slight shift in his smile from one that's tender to something wistful, like remembering a memory he has always been fond of, but has always kept to himself. And at the fleeting glance of it, a tiny, insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Yeah.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him. Then, without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her shoulder in a gesture to end the conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
All right. But wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you.
Aw.
They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back.
Ah. She soon disappears behind the small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Luke straightens as soon as she's gone. The expression on his face grows less kind now that there's no one to reassure. Despite that, a chuckle still escapes me. His head quickly snaps at me, an accusing glare clear in his eyes. Although it's less threatening now considering what I've witnessed earlier. Oh, he's the type that's kind of like tsundere, isn't he? Like, he doesn't want to admit his own love, but he's kind of a good guy here and there, you know? Just a bit. funny how one person's impression of someone can easily change with that
Why are you
minute
laughing
detail.
like that?
Don't mind me. I just saw something surprising today.
Oh,
Don't let it bother you.
Putting it like that won't make me any less inclined to ask. What is it, woman? If this is another one of your threats, I've already told you it isn't going to work on me.
you know, like instead of sleazy douchebag, that was the name. Now it's just Luke. I think, yeah, our opinion did change because he's no longer sleazy douchebag. He's just Luke. Perfect.
That good teacher act isn't going to fool anyone.
What makes you think it has to do with you? I could have just remembered something funny. Not everything in this world revolves around you, mister.
I am not daft, Daisy. It's on your face for all the world to see. Now, say it so we can be done with this stupid talk.
Never. I let out another laugh, more to delay than to express any sort of amusement over the matter. In truth, I don't know where to start. One wrong move, one wrong word, and I might offend the man. He's childish enough for that, even if what I'm about to say are just mere honest observations. What should we say to Luke? Should we say, "You're good at handling her," or "You really think that?" So, what do you think I should say to him? Let's take a look. Wow, we're actually pretty good terms with Luke, actually. Since this is the start, we've gone up. I guess it's because, he kind of liked the maturity in us. And I think we apologize for hitting him on the face as well. But I get the impression that Luke kind of likes strong women. So, what do you guys think we should say? Should we tell him, number 1, you're good at handling her? Or number 2, you really think that? Ruth, you saying number 1, you're good at handling her? Alright, I'll give each of you guys, I'll give just 5 more seconds to decide, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go with you're good at handling her. Relationship status updated. How do we look? It's a plus. Wow. Okay. Wow. Luke really likes us. Great. Well, regardless of how he acts, it's not like it'll have an impact on anything between us. I've no plans of getting too friendly with the man, though he might have some good points, emphasis on might. The best treatment I can hope myself to give him is stop thinking of him as a sleazy douche. Yeah, like his name changed, so I think we did stop thinking of him like that. Besides, after seeing that look on him, I figure someone like him can use a little compliment here and there. He probably doesn't get it much considering how coarse his own language can get.
Can't you act a wee bit polite for even a second of your life? It won't kill you. You'll easily get answers that way, you know? Instead of demanding things from people like a temperamental man-child.
I'll be nice when I want to be, woman. Don't tell me what to do.
And here I was just thinking how you're doing a brilliant job as Kylie's guardian. Was I mistaken?
Was I mistaken? What? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, his tone's up.
Stop playing dumb. I hate to admit it, but you actually seem to be good with kids. Possibly even better than most of the teachers here. What do you know?
I'm never expecting him to just take it all in, bloat his ego more, and even brag about it. Instead, what I get from him is a sound resembling a squawk. Or maybe that's him choking on his own pride. I can't tell above the hubbub surrounding us. But when I glance at him, only a mortified expression is on his face.
No.
No? You should be proud of yourself. At least there's this one good thing about you. Isn't that nice to hear?
Yeah.
Pretty sure not a lot of compliments get thrown around about you, knowing how you are.
There are a lot of good things about me, Daisy. My hair, for one. There's also my extraordinary good looks. Wax lyrical about those all you want. I'd be happy to hear it any day. Praise anything about me but that.
What is so repulsive about it? Even Kylie likes you.
He doesn't want to be
Shouldn't that
dad.
tell you anything about yourself?
Kylie is one kid, not even my own. Trust me, you do not want to see me bring a spawn of my own into this world. It will be an abomination.
Oh, man.
Is
Luke.
that what you keep telling yourself?
Maybe. Is it any of your business?
No. But if I didn't know any better, I'd say this is because you yourself think you're a little piece of shite and somehow it'll pass on. It doesn't work like that, by the way.
Rebecca's smart. That last remark just came out. There might be a sliver of truth in it, but I shouldn't have phrased it like that. No, I think you phrased it perfectly, Rebecca. Even for my own standards, or the kind of person I'm talking to, it's still quite rude. An apology is already at my throat, but the minute I open my mouth, all of what I've prepared myself to say dissipates, lost in the moment in front of me. He has turned gaze outside. Wait, what? Did I say that right? He has... Do you mean his gaze has turned to outside? What? Whatever. He has turned gaze outside, staring at some point past the buildings, blocking the view of the sky, equally lost in his thoughts. That doesn't sound right. He's a vexing man under so many standards. However, in this moment, the morning light streaming from the window lends his features a certain air. Softer, less severe than what he often flaunts. I might as well be looking at a different man. There's a tender note in his voice when he finds it, the words muttered under his breath, not intended for anyone but himself. Nevertheless, it reaches my ears, unintentional as it may be.
You're right. She deserves someone far better than me.
Aww. All that talk about self-worth makes some sense now. It isn't some profound knowledge he pulled out of his ass. It has come about because he's already been there, likely still stuck in the middle of it. Preaching about your own personal experience is easier after all. Less room for mistakes, more for a dose of self-loathing. What a complicated man. Just when you thought you've already figured him out, he does one thing and says the other. People like him are the most difficult to gauge, far harder to understand. Yet, it might be exactly for this reason why some are so easily charmed by him. It's the mystery that catches them, of wanting to find out what's underneath that bravado, I think, apostrophe S. I won't count myself among those, yet his winning personality isn't exactly my cup of tea. But sometimes, once you get a glimpse of what's beyond that machismo? Is that it? Empathizing with the man isn't such a steep hill to climb. If the comfortable silence we now share tells anything, that is. Perhaps this is as close to friendship as we can get. Several insults flung around, with a few shared silences in between, and that's not exactly a bad thing. He's not exactly a bad guy either, despite the awkward start we've had. Maybe it's for this reason that I can't resist throwing a little comment to lift his mood before leaving him.
You know, Luke, you're not such a bad person.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? I'm touched, Daisy.
Take it how you will, but a little attitude change would help. A lot.
Oh, bollocks. Right, of course. Let me know when you're done with your lecture, ma'am.
And you can probably start by not leaving your wife out while you're having some quality time with your goddaughter. Who knows? Maybe that'll help change how the child sees her.
Where did you even get the idea I'm leaving my wife out? Have you ever even met?
No.
Yeah.
But I did see her with you two last time.
No, you guys did meet. I think Rebecca met her when they were kids though, right? His indifferent expression quickly dissolves into a confused scowl, while I meet it with matching perplexity. It has only been 2 days. Surely his memory isn't that bad.
What? When was this?
At the cafe, after you left. She was sitting right beside you. Kylie was at the back and you were driving.
No, that was the ghost. Oh my god, that was the ghost. Do you remember when we just left the cafe and then we saw the CG scene of him driving off, Kylie in the back, and right next to him there was a ghost?
Daisy, are you sure you haven't accidentally hit yourself with your own book? Because that damn thing's quite big, and I'm really getting worried about you. It has only been a few days, and concussions can be dangerous. I suggest you have that checked.
Well, you asked. I just answered. It's pretty rude to make her wait like that, by the way.
How can I make her wait when she's not even with us?
What?
It was just Kylie and I that night.
Now you're just pulling my leg.
Luke exhales long and drawn out, his impatience rapidly changing the companionable air around us. In the face of it, I tense. I've accidentally stepped into another minefield. Any chat I've had with him so far has been like this. Why this still surprises me escapes me, but above my worries of offending the man is my own bewilderment. I remember well enough what I saw that night, yet he says something completely different. Yep.
Wifey was out with Kylie's mummy that night. She wasn't with us. How do you think I ended up on babysitting duty?
But in the front seat. And Kylie's.
Miss Pink!
Kylie? Kylie's sobs reach my ears first, and then her familiar weight returns around my waist again. Hot tears seep through my blouse as she buries her face in it, her arms winding tightly around me. Luke and I briefly exchange worried glances, his own lips shut tight with concern. Her cries are soft enough not to attract much attention. Most of the visitors have been ushered inside the rooms by now anyway. Those that still linger, though, watches our little group with great interest and concern. If I don't get a better handle of the situation, I have a feeling Luke will start yelling at everyone soon. Kneeling, I gently pull the girl away from me, cupping her face and wiping away tears, creating little trails on her cheeks. Her mouth is drawn in a miserable pout when she peers up at me.
All right, Kylie, calm down.
Aww.
What happened?
It's my friend!
That's a little too vague, Munchkin.
Let her speak, Luke. Who is it, Kylie? Melody? Or was it the other one?
Ruth, who hurt you, Kylie? Who? Tell me!
Yeah.
Did the two of you fight?
She nods, then immediately clams up, letting her sobs communicate the story instead, or as much as her shaking shoulders can tell me. Right behind me, Luke gives a nervous huff while he shifts on his feet. He must not be used to handling children crying. What a wuss.
Sweetie, I won't be able to help you if you don't tell me what happened.
Seconds pass before she responds again. The tears are already gone when she finally musters the strength to talk, her cries subsiding to mere sniffles.
I wanted to give her the rest of the jelly babies, but she won't come out.
Where? Where is she?
In the little girl's room.
Toilet?
Is she still there?
Another nod.
She won't say what's wrong. I kept asking her, but she told me to go away. Career Day's going to start soon. I saw the prizes Miss Alice will give us for good. She's gonna miss it.
Oh, she's concerned for a friend.
Is that what you told her?
Yeah, she won't listen. She won't even take the jelly babies. After I saved it for her, too. She and Luke wanted to eat the red ones, but I told them it's not for him. Miss Pink, can you talk to her? Tell her to come out, and I'm really upset with her.
Just a little childish argument then. Times like this, I'm glad I teach teenagers mature enough for petty squabbles. Oh, okay, so we're a high school teacher. I do love being around children and won't mind having one or two of my own in the future, but it takes a whole different level of patience to teach several of them. I honestly admire my colleagues who willingly took the challenge. Normally, I'll leave this for the homeroom teachers to fix, but I can't just ignore the imploring look she shoots me. There's another weakness I'll have to steel myself against before I ever think of having one of my own. For now, I give in to it.
Okay, tell me where she is, sweetie.
Sighing, I stand up and gesture for her to lead the way. Luke trails quietly behind us. Even with the small distance in between, his apprehension is palpable. Understandably so. No one wants to be caught in the middle of a children's spat, but in the end, this is all just part of my job. I can't just shy away from it, can I? Kylie escorts us to an adjacent hall. At this hour, the corridor and the rooms lining its sides are empty, save for the gentle rustling of leaves, the twittering of birds outside, and the tapping of our foot against the floor. The whole area stays eerily quiet. Not unusual, though. This is the part of the building reserved for club activities at the end of the school day, and with the rest of the school busy with another event, it's only natural for it to be this deserted. Oh, does London or like the UK do club activities? Come afternoon, right after class, it'll once again be filled with people. For the time being, I focus on the toilets at the far end, heading straight for it. Luke stays behind, opting to wait for the end of this drama instead, obviously not wanting to deal with another person's kid. Meanwhile, Kylie follows right after me, unusually silent as we approach the ladies' room. Sometime before we made the turn down the hallway, she has stopped sniffling and started singing a tune under her breath. I swear, if this is London Bridge is falling down...
London Bridge is falling down.
Damn it.
Falling down, falling down.
Please.
London Bridge is
Probably to
falling
brace
down,
or calm herself,
my
or maybe this is
fair
her way
lady.
of preparing to pull her friend out of her sulk. It certainly reminds me of another person. I make no remarks on it, however. It's all part of growing up, they say. Let her learn. The door slightly ajar when we get to it, and from the other side, the sobs of a girl echo weakly, barely audible, even in this kind of hush. Turns out Kylie's not the only one upset about this. Despite the situation, a smile forms in my lips as I call out to a friend.
Hello? Hello there? You're Kylie's friend, aren't you? Melody, is it? She's looking for you.
Melody. Children can be so amusing sometimes. Granted, they can be exasperating, especially around this age, but the endearing things about them outweigh those. All you need is enough level of patience.
Career day's about to start, too. You'll have to come out, or you're going to be really late for it. Miss Alice won't be happy if one of her kids isn't there. I heard she brought little gifts for everyone who'll behave.
Yeah,
Don't
bribe.
you want to receive one?
However, her cries show no signs of abating. They only grow louder. Aww. Not close to a whale. Alarming regardless.
Are you okay?
Melody. From where I'm standing, it almost sounds like she's in some kind of pain. And it's not impossible. They do that at times, hiding what ails them for fear of reprimand. If it's like that, coaxing her out might be useless. It also makes sense why she chose the loo furthest from the classroom. Wasting no time, I gesture for Kylie to wait and amble towards the door, calmly so I don't alarm her. At the same time, a distinct sense of deja vu hits me. I've been in this position before, behind a door with someone crying on the other side, my calls ignored as their cries grow into a wail. Just this past week, actually. Even so, being in the same situation before doesn't bring any comfort. I'm putting up for the child beside me is the thick undercurrent of worry trickling into my stomach. I take one last breath, then I nudge open the door. It all happens in the span of a second. I don't make it past 2 steps into the room. Her cries abruptly stop. Light footsteps shuffle behind me, coming to a halt at the door. My heart skips a beat, and when I turn...
Kylie?
Oh, no. Oh my god, did you trap us?
Miss Pink? Miss Pink? Why didn't you help her?
Huh? My whole body becomes motionless at the sight of her, words catching in my throat and heart pounding rapidly against my chest. This is Kylie, I'm sure of it. Yet, nothing in the manner she speaks, or the way she tilts her head in question, carries the youthful, innocent vibe she always brings with her. As if I'm merely looking at a dead, hollow imitation of the child.
Can't you hear her? She's asking for your help.
Kylie, no! But it is not those that trigger a memory. It's those chilling eyes. Calling, beckoning.
Why won't you listen to her?
What? All at once, the memory returns to me. A tide that has receded and now returns to shore with an overwhelming force, carrying images of a single moment from days ago. Of a world passing by in a blur, and of features I can barely discern under the little light there was. Not even a week has passed. In this minute, while I keep my eyes trained on the child before me, they return with such unbearable clarity. There are no horrid wounds this time, no blood streaming down a pale face, thank heavens. Just lips contorted into a small twisted smile. They brim with venom I've never expected to see in a child, sending tiny pinpricks of dread crawling up my limbs and winding up my neck.
You're a bad person. People like you deserve to die.
Kylie! I can't breathe. Those whispers and laughters again, judging, mocking, taunting, each scathing word ringing sharp and true against my ears. My throat closes in, my whole body tenses, a chill settles at the tip of my fingers, every digit gone rigid from the cold. With every single draw of breath, any struggle for air or freedom, the coils wrapped around my body tighten, dragging me down. A gradual, torturous descent into another bottomless abyss. Are we getting choked? On and on and on, until I lose touch with myself in the world.
Help me!
Until darkness claims me, and, unexpectedly, a note. In the distance, harsh and piercing, cutting through the thick stupor and shattering the haze without warning.
Are you ladies done with your business here? I'll have all morning to wait for you two.
Oh, thank God, Luke. My eyes snap open and the world shifts into place with a ragged gasp. When I glance up, a different set of eyes greet me.
Are you okay, Miss Pink?
Kylie! No anger, no vile hatred in them, just plain sincere concern. Bit by bit, I become aware of my surroundings and myself as warmth steadily slips back to me. I've reached out for the nearby county to steady myself at some point, and my knuckles have gone white from how rigid my grip on it is. It's over now, yet the tension hasn't left my body. My heart still hammers hard against my chest in an erratic rhythm, and my breathing still comes in short of shallow bursts. Before me, Kylie fumbles with her hands, utterly unsure of what to do to an adult in what's probably a laughable state.
Did you get sick? I'll call Tio, okay? Stay here and don't move.
No. No need. Just leave me alone.
Tio will know how to fix you. Oh, wait, okay?
I wish I could speak reassurances to her, but I can't shake it off. The dread is there, twisting at my insides in anticipation of what? I'm no longer sure. Pushing myself off the counter, I break off into a run, brushing off the anxious look Kylie gives me when I gently push her away on my way out, or the furrow in Luke's brows when I stumble into him outside. Whatever they saw in my face, I care not to know. Bloody hell, I don't even understand what's happening anymore. Wow. The tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. What? I'd go home. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. How unusual it must be for them to see a normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You'd think being on my 4th cup of tea would provide any sort of comfort. Or is this the 5th? Egad, what does counting matter now? The fact that I can't easily shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Oh, look, you were sick, but you're also haunted. Those are just stories, a centuries-old law passed by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Da's books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who fed on unborn children straight from the mother's womb, or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. All folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it, most probably told to scare off the natives that were back in the old days, much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think, but looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
A terrible thing if true, although that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up, and my brows knit together. Ooh, Marianne. Marianne McCulloch. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eye zeroes in on the book lying wide open on my table. Ah, yes, they met at the library. Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence. A fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's giving it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out, about 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am, but finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment, I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend ends up in the trauma center of a local hospital and fighting for her life. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I have been flipping through the pages of said book moments ago, though never really reading anything and merely hoping for a distraction, to no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello. Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all. I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon, unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
About what?
Oh, sure. What about?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
Uh-huh. It's a peculiar question to ask to someone you've just met, but I answer her nonetheless. I'm more curious where she's heading with this by starting with it.
Born and raised, third-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. And
Marianne?
Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy. But things have been really, odd. Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we
Oh
met?
dear.
My current project?
In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitious down to the last hair. Though it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is...
Spill it.
Oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
No.
It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and see stupid things.
Marianne, please. See things?
No, wait. It's all right. I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that this is a silly thing to talk about, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates. Oh man, if only Marianne called Isabella instead. Oh man.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
Don't forget.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners? Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
Haunted. I do my best to give her a concise summary from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago and who had it built, up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death and the deed was passed on to Ermengarde's nearest relatives. God, just tell her about the myth! Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished even. There are all what, really? I would have thought if it was haunted, it would be demolished, but alright. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish. Yeah, no shit, because she wants to ask about if it's haunted.
That's all there really is to it?
as far as I know.
Damn it, Rebecca!
There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories. Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years. Should there be anything
Oh
more?
my god, Rebecca.
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories?
She's spelling it out for you.
Or a letter of some sort?
Yes! My blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly been drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence. Yeah, of course, yes, it's more than a coincidence. Jesus Christ, why can't you get that?
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
God.
Oh, no. It was just something I came across.
Why are they both being so coy?
Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know.
Oh my god, this is frustrating.
By the way, I need to run.
Oh, you idiots! Oh, you two stupid idiots! Oh, you're too proud to admit you... She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. Oh my god, they're just too concerned about their own standing. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser in light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation. I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine, I'd give her that, but she's left a lot of things out. I get the sense she only asked because something's happening around her too, and if she haven't mentioned the letter, I probably wouldn't have made the connection.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Jeez, Rebecca, you stupid girl. Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. Ugh. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have, and if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at a housewarming party. Oh, okay, she hasn't been to the housewarming party yet. Okay, gotcha. Totally not an exciting thought since the place is privately owned now. I can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay as I step out of the room ready to put an end to this day. Oh, they're so dumb! Rebecca and Marianne, oh no. However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run headfirst into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people have of him without care or thought. What did Rebecca and Marianne talk about? Absolute garbage! That's why I'm so pissed, because they're both obviously haunted, and they danced around it, not actually talking about it. Oh my god, she was so clearly hinting that she was being haunted, and we're just like, huh? I don't understand, what? Huh? Oh my god, these two fools! Oh, they just couldn't admit that they were haunted. If they did, oh man, this would be such a much shorter game. He doesn't even need to open his mouth, his mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Obviously. Who do you think standing in front of you?
An
Ha.
ass.
Oh, come on, Daisy, you've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Oh, he wants to be
Luke,
insulted.
I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At the slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and towing at something on the floor with tip of her shoe. On the floor with tip of a shoe. What? Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms, though I think he's trying to urge her to speak up.
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
You do it, Tio.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tia what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Oh? Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. What? I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What makes you think I will?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault. I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
To where?
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite? I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me.
Oh, we're really
I
milking
kind of
it.
miss my couch.
Daisy, you just say yes.
A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
Ah, he said it.
Tio said it'll be his treat.
Is he giving us a parfait?
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin. I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I promise we'll be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, all right, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. I doubt it. I think Ashton's investigating him, isn't he? On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing, however half-heartedly given it is. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second, I find all my choices slipping away from me.
See, Miss Pink? It'll be fun. You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
Oh, she thought we were sad. My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second, I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself, a disgruntled expression on Luke's face before I turn away. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking a message from Ashton shows up. Oh. Hey Becca, I'll be around Salem Well this evening. Need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual. Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by, or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Except she won't be there, if that scenario ever comes to pass while she's stuck in that hospital. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket. But looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, I now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him, or to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but these are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton. Although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week, and well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. Even after what I heard, or the fact that he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We can be miserable together. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them, and it's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still, tough choice, but I have to pick one. So, what should we do, guys? Shall we go ahead and meet with Ash? That's coming to our place. So we have to say, I have other things to do. Or shall we take up Kylie and Luke's offer of dinner? To say, okay, but only because Kylie asked. So, what do you guys think I should do? I think this is going to affect one of our relationships on one or the other. You think get food with Luke and Kylie? I think this is going to help us with Luke, but not help us with Ashton. But, I mean, we're already down on Ashton, and we're already up on Luke. So, alright, let's go with number 2 then. Okay, but only because Kylie asked. Relationship status updated. Oh, a big plus for Luke, and Ashton hasn't changed, because I guess he hasn't realized yet. In the end, it's my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. Chances are, I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make up an excuse, a sudden call from a friend, or things to work on. It doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. I'm leaning more on the latter happening, hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the 3rd time today, she tackles me into a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exit.
That's alright. I'm sure Tio doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
Is it McDonald's? Luke follows closely behind, and perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away, I can't resist throwing him a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
Yeah.
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try? Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick. You think your scary mouth show you what's scary?
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic note in it, and briefly I pause to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual, and for the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow, I have this strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I think so too! I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. I think it's a good thing. And amidst this newfound friendship, dare I call it that, Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Well, I mean, look, Ashton can't just be like, hey, I'm showing up your place, you better be there. That's bullshit. No, fuck off, Ashton. Of all the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks this one, and waiting for food to be served is as awkward as I've imagined it would be. Not the bad sort, though. The pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. When he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks, or we're not exchanging acerbic quips. It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for a 6-year-old by being chattier, even going as far as to laugh when Kylie's story calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once I catch his frequent cheesed-off expression easing whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Oh, yeah. Melody?
She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Aww.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. What's stopping him? It's because he thinks he's a bad person, right? Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves, after having lost interest in the conversation, however, we both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with it that he can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. Nothing too personal is ever mentioned so far though. It's too early for those, and besides, I don't like him enough to speak of every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silence and the casual repartee. This whole thing already looks and feels wrong on so many levels. I'm quite sure he feels the same. So when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand while we wait for our respective meals. But it'll be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ashton's probably at Salem Well by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make up an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him.
Cut that out, it's distracting.
My hand stills, holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now, after complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is and tasteless the decorations they have here. Previous to that, he's griped about how dull the place is compared to the one he frequents on the upper class side of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, Your Majesty. Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he's turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bobfuck right behind us.
What? What's a bobfuck?
Bobfuck? Do I even want to ask?
I don't want to hear it. If it's coming out of his mouth, it can only be either rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face?
The what?
True horror.
What is wrong with you? You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap.
You tell him.
Preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here.
For whatever reason, that puts an end to the talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book and is now poring over it while I turn back to my mobile. Still no message. Would it kill him to at least send a message, check if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all but 10 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
He's got the immature act down pat, I'll give him that. Oh no, it's because we like Ashton, I guess, and we're hoping that he'll text us, even though we already know he likes Isabella. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affection during childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, all right? 1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy. Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry. What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you could do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one.
How
You
dare
move
you?
fast, Daisy. You could have informed me first, you know.
God damn.
Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer.
Oh gosh.
Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Joe Bentley. Hello, Joe. How you doing?
Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be.
That's so true. That is so true. Luke's words right here are truth. Because who else knows about these two anyway? I mean, nobody knows who we are. Why should they care?
Relax. I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry.
Oh, he knows.
He doesn't even need to know we dined out.
He knows
It'll
about
be
Ash.
our dirty little secret.
Oh, Ash.
He's not my boyfriend!
The words come out with more force than I've intended. Oh, look at that smug smirk. By the time I realize my slip up, his lips are already spread in a sneer. Heat slowly crawls up my face. Oh, we are flush.
Oh, so there is someone. You're so easy to read.
Now he's entertained. Briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I care to know, but in the next second he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I know I flipped a switch in him somewhere, and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile, waiting for another message from him? That's exactly right, and Luke's right. For a reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him?
Look how mottled you are. Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush. The color suits you, by the way. It matches the hair.
It's not a crush!
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours. And your every move is made to make him notice you.
Oh my god.
In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity. Because he might misinterpret it.
Yep.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with.
True.
Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes.
Rochelle.
But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day, losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you,
True.
or putting everything you have aside to please them, to have your whole world revolve around one person.
Do you guys think what Luke's saying is fair at the moment? I'm kind of on Luke's side on this one. Like, he's spreading some truth right now.
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them, to have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming? What's next?
Balance.
Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after? Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
Oh wow, he knows. Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What does this mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? I mean, 17 alone though, but... It's laughable. He thinks those two things are even comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship like what I'm hoping for years, but what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've already been by his side, endured everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, I know there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet...
Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20.
His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. Despite myself, the doubts resurface and my defenses crumble right in front of my eyes. It's no wonder he sees through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. Laughs. Restrained, low and rumbling, a sharp sound striking the air around us, amidst the murmur of people and the soft notes of the music playing over our heads. His shoulders shake, and when his mirth becomes too much even for him, he reaches up a hand and passes it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him.
Lordy bullocks, this is just brilliant. Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better.
Oh, so smug.
I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
You do? He dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, what he has for me are more words. Scathing, each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time. Never looking at another man. He must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. A challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity, because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one who looks away, focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is, and for a moment, I believe I've won. Until he draws his breath and turns back to me. The words he drops next, though hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
Ooh! Heavy! It rattles. Out of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Maybe it's in the manner he delivers it, the lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in this tone he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, it merely expresses a simple truth. This time, it's him who holds gaze against mine. Another unspoken challenge, and I realized that if this happened minutes before, I'd already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none, but the anger is there, ringing at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've long kept. Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until other people came in between us, I've always been the one there. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, and that one day he'll see it for what it is. Oh no, Rebecca. Even if his heart is still set on someone else. Oh God. In spite of that, in this minute, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers. Now I struggle to find words. Should we say, I don't need to answer that, or what right do you have? Oh boy. What should we say? I feel like Luke has really read us like a book. Boy, oh boy. We only have 2 options, guys, so I'm going to leave it to you. So, if you want me to say, I don't need to answer that, type in number 1. If you want me to say, what right do you have, type in number 2. I'm going to leave this to you guys. Right now, we're actually on really good standing with Luke at the moment. Not actually really, really good. So, number 1. Alright, I see a number 1 in chat, so I don't need to answer that. However, those are for me to ponder on. How did that go? Ooh, he liked that. Plus, this ass doesn't need to hear them, and neither is he entitled to them just because he dished out some profound sounding life wisdom no one asked for. So I look away, hoping my own silence would be enough of an answer for him. And it is, for a moment. Up until warm, furious tears prickle behind my eyes, stinging, begging for release, along with every other frustration this dumb talk has built up on me. All because of this man. I hate him. I hate the fact that he has to be the one to see me in this sorry state. I'm already expecting another barb from him when his expression shifts. Except he panics. In the span of 3 seconds, his expression changes from indifferent to concerned to utter panic. It would probably have been funny if I weren't so irked by the sight of this glacket bastard.
Hey, are you crying? Are you going to cry? Stop that right now, woman, or I'll...
Will you shut up?
He clams up almost before I could finish. Whether this is due to the sudden force in my voice or how I look, I pretend not to think of it. He seems like a deer caught in the headlights with the way he's making himself smaller in his seat. But I'm still pissed. I'm tired, and if I can't punch him, I can at least scream at him.
You're an annoying bag of dick, you know that? If I hear another word from you, I'm sewing that bloody mouth shut myself.
It does do the trick. Not to the effect I've hoped, but the moment I've snapped at him, the stinging at the back of my eyes melts away, and a strange calm overcomes me. A fragile thing when found in the middle of a busy coffee shop. Nevertheless, it's appreciated considering it doesn't last, immediately broken by the very person that put me in this state with a few awkward pats to my shoulder. Done twice. Thrice. And another. Until my patience runs out again, and I'm pulling out the book from my bag, raising it threateningly over his head. It'll surely dent his skull if it slams down at this height. Part of me wants to see that, but I restrain myself. He has the good sense to recoil, though. Shortly, he shrinks back to his seat and waves his hand in front of him as in a gesture of surrender.
Watch that book, woman! I already warned you about your little threats. You don't want to see my brand of angry!
Then keep your hands to yourself!
All right, that's it. People these days, I swear you treat them nicely, and this is where it gets me.
You're the last person I'd ever want to comfort me. Even if we're the only 2 remaining people on Earth. Don't flatter yourself.
Okay, have it your way, Daisy.
And stop calling me Daisy! I have a name, you know!
He mutters something inaudible under his breath, although afterwards, he doesn't say anything further. I think Isabella said that as well. I have a name, you know. For the next minute, he simply contents himself with making a mess out of the paper napkins, folding them into clean shapes without any clear intent before crumpling them in his hand when he loses interest and dumping them in a small pile in front of him. A waiter serves our meal soon enough and Kylie makes her way back to our table. But before I can take a single bite, he mutters something. The words spoken in the same tone he's used since morning, all under his breath whenever the honest part of himself would show. Despite my rather confusing opinion of the man, I stop short of shoving food in my mouth to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. But what comes out of him only rings true against my ears above the din of the coffee house.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
Aww. He spears a piece of his food, pops it into his mouth, and that's it. One whole day with this man, and I still can't figure out what his deal is. But for what it's worth as well, I don't think he's an entirely bad guy. The rest of our meals slipped by in silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes by without another word exchanged between the two of us. Somehow we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. A good thing perhaps. One, because Kylie's sitting in front of us, and two, I probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. Whew, wow. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to the school, except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without waiting for Kylie and I. He emerges minutes after carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression back on his face. Yeah, because he likes daffodils, huh? Unlike the previous ones, he tucked this one away almost as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. At my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous ones. Those are the last words spoken this evening before we head our own ways. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand him. Here, however, a whole different set of questions await me. And, much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things? A low note greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against a faint warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any moves to take it. Oh wow, Ashen's neat script lines its surface. Let's read it. Dropped by earlier, you weren't around, the easing Belle out of the sedatives tomorrow, trying to see if they can take her out of a coma. Good news, huh? The aunt also wants to talk to us, so if you could come to the hospital, that'd be great. Anyway, how are you doing? Call me when you get this. See ya, Ash. The message he left, short and straight to the point, but not without the underlying hint of our friendship. He mentions nothing of the accident or the ongoing investigation, except for a small request from Isabella's aunt for us to visit the next day. Apparently, they're taking her out of her medically induced coma to see if she's improved. Oh, good! Suddenly, it's the closest thing we have to hope right now. I can almost hear it in the manner Ashton ends the formal tone in his note when he checks on my well-being at the end. He still has no idea that we heard him say he loves her. Any other day, the former part of his message will likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time, only guilt fills me and my eyes briefly shifts towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
Have I always been like this?
This selfish? In truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner, if I didn't catch him here, invite him to that party like I've planned. There's time, and he's still probably awake at around this hour, but my hands won't move, and perhaps it is for the better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it'll be best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging tightly to. Find a different perspective and see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it under my hand. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Maybe after some introspection, it'll be easier. For tomorrow, I have that woman and the mansion to worry about. That woman being Hannah? The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strange sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string, stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. It hangs in the hallway. It lingers in the empty unit next to mine. It follows me even as I head out, carrying the same little hope Ashen's note brought last night. I just wish I can easily believe in it. It takes a minimum of 21 days for a habit to form, or so claimed speaker in a conference I once attended. Yet, it only took less than 3 for the hospital's sterile scent to lose its sharp odour. Perhaps less than that for the nurses to start glancing at me with an air of familiarity, for my body to know instinctively where I should head to, which turn to take, how far it is to the nearest stairwell, approximately how many steps until I reach the door. 30 to be exact, though I've honestly stopped counting sometime during my second visit. At some point, even the faint beeping from her room has grown oddly comforting. A strange thing to seek reassurance from. Times like this, however, is all that we have. Isabella's lucky, by some miracle, by some sheer force of will, she holds on and pushes back just as death pulls. How long will it last, though? Even now, she's still a hair's breadth away from losing that struggle, and no matter how promising today might be, the doubt still runs deep. At least for me it does. Sometimes it's better not to hope too much. Although both Zachary and Ashen doesn't seem to be of the same mind. With the smiles they each greet me the moment I arrive. A small part of me expects this meeting to be awkward with Zachary here after he saw me in such a pitiful state, but it is him who first offers me a seat. He remembers or still has an opinion about what happened 2 days ago. He makes no mention of it again, likely out of some sense of courtesy. Yeah, because Zach comforted us, didn't he? However, between only the two of them, there's an uneasy atmosphere dangling, thick with inexplicable tension. I'd ask, but neither appears willing to explain anything. I suppose this is how we'll keep it together for now, with moments filled with superficial smiles and lukewarm attempts at cordiality.
How is she?
That question at least is anything but half-hearted, and, as if spurred by it, Ashen looks up, the first time he does so since his brief welcome earlier. His eyes have been glued to the room nearest us, its door only slightly ajar, offering everyone outside nothing but a sparse look of what's inside. All I see in it is an uncertainty, yet he stares at it with something close to hopeful, like doing so will summon another miracle from the depths of near impossibility. Bloody. It's all over his face long before his voice breaks the silence.
Doing okay so far. They've reduced the sedation hours ago, but it'll take a while before we know anything for sure.
The Ashen I know will never subscribe to that kind of false hope. If there's anyone present here who would be, it's Zachary. For reasons no longer unknown to me, he does it anyway.
The nurses are just monitoring her now.
He gestures with his head toward the door, just as one of the said nurses move past inside.
Her aunt's not in there, though?
Nah, she's speaking with the doctors right now. She'll be back in a few.
She didn't say anything before she left?
Don't know. I arrived just when she stepped out. You're gonna have to ask Ash about that. He came in here hours before I did.
Damn.
She was talking to him about something.
Is that a joke? Ashton arrived earlier than you did?
Yeah, miracle, ain't it?
I'm sitting right here, you two.
A peal of laughter follows his remark. Despite ourselves and this mess of a situation, immediately the mood around us lifts, if only a little. I doubt it'll shift back to normal entirely, not when there are still a great number of things we're intentionally leaving unspoken. Amazing how simple this is, though, pretending everything's the way they used to be, with only a few words.
We ain't the only ones, though. Bella would probably have had plenty to say about it, you know?
She wakes up at 4, Zach. Every day. That's inhuman on so many levels. Besides, none of you can even get out of bed at 6, so get off my case. If Isabella's got a problem with my morning habits, she can complain about it when she's out of coma.
When, not if. Now of all times he chooses to be like this, decides to forego all the hard truths to chase after that one light at the end of the tunnel. Despite Zachary's reassurances days ago, I'm not foolish enough to carry an expectation as heavy as that. Knowing that she has the chance and taking comfort in the idea is one thing. Clinging onto it and blindly believing what might be improbable is another.
You don't sound too worried about this. Didn't the doctor say there'll be no guarantee? This is just to see if she's improved. That still doesn't mean she'll get better.
Yeah, well, it's not like there's anything we can do about this. She's already there, we're already here. I'd rather not lose sleep over this if I can help it. I've got other things to worry about.
All lies. If he truly believes that, he won't be raking a hand through his hair after that remark. I've seen him do it more times than I can count to know he only does it when he's frustrated. If this truly hasn't already weighed on him, the lines of his shoulders won't have that tight slump, nor in his voice will have that exhausted lilt. It has all been there since the start. It's not going to disappear anytime soon, because if there's anything all these years has taught me, is that Ashen hates losing anyone, both in the figurative and literal sense. It happened with his mum, it happened with his da, and with her like this on the brink of teetering between life and death, he'll try everything to keep her. You'd think the world would be much more forgiving once people like him starts thinking in such a way, but it is a harsh place still, and sometimes, as good as a notion it is, there are things that are simply out of our control. Now she's a realist? Oh. When it reminds us of it, it does so brusquely? I don't know how to... I've never heard that word, sorry. In the form of another voice piercing through the dense silence in the hall.
Miss Santos! Miss Santos! Get rapid response here. Call for Doctors Nicholas and Beatrix Stat.
Tension returns to the hallway in an instant. For a couple of agonizing minutes, only the sounds behind her room reverberates into the hall. A calm voice urgently calling orders, 2 sets of feet moving about, the rapid beeping of the machines inside. Suddenly, merely standing in the hall soon proves to be smothering, too small, too tight, too stifling, as the rest of the world fades into nothing, and only the room in front of us matters. Next to Zachary and I, Ashen now stands rigid. Oh my god, no! Oh, Moon, hello, we're playing as Rebecca. The lines of his jaw are clenched firmly while he gapes at the tiny opening in the door with wide eyes. I haven't even noticed when he has risen from his seat, but a struggle is clear on his face. Though before he can take a single step forward, Zachary's hands lands on his shoulder, holding him back. Despite his own worries, he is nothing but forbearing when he mutters his reassurances.
Chill, man. Let them do their work. Leave it to them. She's in good hands, so please, give those guys inside a little credit. They were able to save her the first time, yeah? It's not a code. She hasn't coded yet.
Almost as soon as if to confirm it, the loudspeakers crackle to life, the broadcast echoing Zachary's words throughout the whole hospital.
Rapid response, room 49. Rapid response, room 49.
Oh god,
Agent
no.
Dr. Nicholas Vogel and Dr. Beatrix Vogel, rapid response. Please head to room 49, stat.
Damn, it's always the Vogels. This message blasts on for another minute before it finally ceases. It takes less time for that hospital's emergency response team to arrive, but their presence does nothing to ease the disquiet in us. In each of us. Oh no, Isabella! Ashton's, most of all. The minute the nurse shuts the door firmly on us, he releases the breath he's been holding. Along with it are every shard of hope he'd allow himself to carry, now crushed under the weight of what we've just seen, and every expectation he's carried. Who's the patient? It's Isabella, remember? Isabella got hit by a car. So, I don't know if she's going to be okay or not. We're just about to find out. It's not surprising that when he air around us... When he... What? It's not surprising that when the... I think there's supposed to be a T there. When the air around us becomes too heavy to bear for someone like him, he's the one who first steps out. Like every time this has happened...
I'm going to step out for a while. I need some air.
Ashton?
With another word, he gently brushes Zachary's hand off his shoulder and leaves. Not to run away, never to run away. He's still too stubborn for that. His pride won't let him when he knows he hasn't exhausted his options. This is so he can force what remains of his wits into some semblance of order, away from prying eyes, and though Ash doesn't say a single thing, Zachary understands this need quite well. It's a place where he's been to numerous times. It's one he requested of us for reasons I've yet to know, and he's yet to tell me. Hence, he refrains from voicing these thoughts or stopping the younger man once he removes himself from the hall. There's still, however, an undeniable edge to his voice when he urges me to do the opposite, an underlying anxiety beneath that smiling facade. One I allow myself to return in spite of the hesitation his next words spur.
You should go after him.
What? And leave you here?
I can wait. And I don't think those guys in there will be coming out anytime soon. You'll just get bored. Besides, he listens to you.
Before, perhaps.
He still will. Nothing about that has changed.
He's a grown man, not a baby. I don't have to console him every time something upsets his manly ego.
Doubts must have surfaced in my face for all my efforts to mask it, because the next thing I know, he's laughing. Tired, though, lighter than what I've heard from him these past few days, like heaviness temporarily lifting. I wonder how much this whole thing has taken a toll on him. Strangely, that fact has never occurred to me until now, but even then, he continues as if nothing's wrong. Now, along with reluctance, swims a twinge of guilt. All this time, I've been looking at how this has only affected both Ashton and I when Zachary is in as much need of comfort. Yeah, poor Zach as well. Oh, man. Yeah, I hope Isabella's going to be okay as well, Moon. Cowboy, hello. How are you doing? Welcome. Chatting from work for the drip. You're still working? Oh, man. Gambatte. Oh, good job, by the way. After all, he understands Isabella in ways neither the rest of us can.
But you know it can be one sometimes. Go on. I'll let you two know if anything changes here.
Thanks, Zach.
And I get the sense you two still have a lot of, things to, talk about.
Does he know we like him? That much is true. But I know Ashton. He's not a man who expresses himself freely. He will not yield until he's ready, and this one he might not be too willing to share yet. Still, a huge part of me wishes to go to him. Sometimes I resent myself for getting caught between making such calls. Should we go after Ash or give Ash some space? Ooh, this is a hard one. So, it's up to you guys. If you want me to go after Ash, click number 1. If you want me to go give Ash some space, type in number 2. Now, I think there are 2 things for this. One, we can go after Ash and give him, our response and help him. But I think even like what Luke has said to us, Luke was saying how much we cling to him, and that's not a good thing. I think it's kind of got an air of truth. I think Luke might be in the right as well. So I'm getting 2 votes for after Ash. All right, anybody else? I'll give 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we are going after Ash. Although before a single excuse forms in my head, Zachary makes that decision for me. Already, he's showing me a known smirk. It spreads across his face the moment I look up. Yeah, he knows we like him. Oh, we got a plus from Ashton just then. Okay. With a chuckle and a casual wave of his hand, he gestures for me to leave.
Don't worry about it. Check on him. He needs somebody to do that for him.
I'd knock some sense into him myself if I can. But like I said, he listens when it's you.
Aw.
We'll see about that.
We will.
Thanks, Zachary. I'll be back soon.
Nah, take your time. But just remember what I told you before.
He has known prior to making that suggestion. In the same way that sleaze Luke reads it in my face with much ease. Man, I feel like our best friends are Luke and Zach right now. Yeah, not even Isabella or Ash. Where I'll always go, who I'll often pick when faced with a similar choice, or how it'll bother me if I don't. The answer is a habit now, after uttering the same thing for so many years. But what drives it is not important. Feelings are irrelevant at present, the whole of it. Unwarranted, in fact. That's what Zachary has been trying to get at all this time, isn't it? I've been too furious to understand, busy swaying between anger and my own affections since that night, because at the core of it, we're still friends, aren't we? There'll be time to think about these matters later. For now, as I leave Zach in search for him, I'll be what he needs me to be. Oh gosh, alright. Ooh, like last time, being alone just has consequences? That is true, Moon, that is true. I find him minutes later in a hallway not far from Isabella's room. He sits alone still, his gaze trained on a cup of coffee he cradles between his hands. Ooh, wow, yeah, nice. He tastes his coffee black, huh? I don't know him well enough to know he'll never take a sip of it. Too bitter, he'd say. He prefers one dumped with a shite load of sugar. He's only keeping it for the warmth. Occasionally, he'll sway the cup lightly, only to send the dark liquid swirling close to the edge. Oh, he doesn't even take it black. Oh. Like, do you guys drink coffee, and what do you guys drink? Like, a mocha, a latte? Do you take a long black like this as well, or what do you take? I kind of like, or even a chai latte. Like disturbing, its still surface will show him all the answers he needs, all the miracles he's hoping for. If it provides him any, he makes no mention of it when I take the empty space next to him. He doesn't bother moving either, or returning my greeting with a slight nod like he always would. Under the corridor's harsh light, he appears older like this. There's a deeper set to his eyes, a hollowness not present before, and it's most certainly not due to exhaustion anymore. Ruth, you take a black, and Moon, you take a cappuccino? I absolutely love, and only some places do this in Melbourne, I should say, but I absolutely love a matcha latte. A green matcha latte. Moon likes half milk, half coffee. I do enjoy a cappuccino myself. I'd rather a mocha though, with a bit of choc. Yum. Seeing it so openly displayed in such a manner, however, unease trickles into me. A small fear of my own efforts. Any words I can come up with won't be enough. That only the cruel possibility I've seen back there will be all there is left to say. Nevertheless, it's still worth a try.
That coffee is going to get cold soon if you don't drink it. A waste of money, if you ask me.
Yeah, give it to me. I'll drink it. Melbourners love coffee. Perfect harmony, you say? Oh, yeah. For a fleeting second, he takes his eyes off it, glancing at me from the corners of his eyes. It doesn't last too long, but in that short exchange, it feels like he's searching my face for something. And when it finds nothing of it in me, he merely lets out a breath and holds the cup out to me.
You can have it if it bothers you.
Thanks.
No thanks. I already drank a cup this morning. Besides, their coffee here tastes like shite. I've had enough of it these past few days to last me a lifetime. I think they're using the same brand, you know? The one Isabella likes so much.
Isabella likes shite? I've not meant to bring her up, but she's woven herself into our lives so much that even talk as simple as this has something to remind us of her. Now is pitching back towards unsafe territory, right into topics I'm hoping to avoid.
We're both bad at this, aren't we?
You noticed that just now?
Afterwards, Ashton immediately falls silent again, the good humour in him gone. I follow soon after, unable to string the proper words to keep this going, and an uncomfortable air sets. No surprise right there. All this time we've been skirting around the issue, the hard truths we're forced to deal with. It's a way of coping, contradicting the kind people we both are. No wonder we'll fall apart at some point. And if what happened today suggests anything, it'll be easier for us if we steel ourselves as early as now. Even a tiny part of me still wishes to believe there's simply too much working against her now. But is saying such a thing appropriate, given the situation? With him like this, I'm afraid, doing so will bring more harm, good intentions aside. Sometimes I resent myself for getting caught between making such calls. What should we say, guys? Should we say, 1, she'll get through this? Or 2, maybe it's better if we just listen to them? Oh boy. So, I'm gonna guess what she's meaning to say there is 1, Isabella's gonna get through this, don't worry, she'll be fine, which is comforting. Or maybe it's better if we just listen to them. Listen to who? What does that mean? Let me check the backlogs while you guys decide. Must be. I'm not entirely sure, but we're both bad at this, you noticed just now. Alright. Ruth says number 1, she'll get through this. Alright, I'll give 5 seconds left to anybody else. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, she'll get through this. The doctors, you reckon? It was what it is. Alright, let's see our relationship with that. That was a plus. Alright. So, I pull back, rein in the cold hard facts as well as every truth that will hurt. All in favour of an echo, and frankly, a pale imitation of Zachary's reassurances.
She'll get through this.
I wish there's more conviction to my tone, or at least a hint of certainty to it, but try as I might, I don't know if I can still put my faith into those words. At some point, perhaps I did. Before the image of her lying still on that bed has become a permanent fixture in my head. When picturing her back on her feet is as easy as breathing, or when the reality of her situation hasn't sunk in yet. Now that it has, every comforting word heard or said leaves a bitter aftertaste. I hate myself for trying to keep that hope in him while I can no longer convince myself of it. It feels foolish and hypocritical in every way. Ash chuckles in spite of it. Not without a hint of his fatigue, but still light and unreserved, as if remembering a memory he's keen on.
She's rubbing off on you.
What, the optimism?
Who? Belle? Please, we're poles apart.
A few years ago, maybe, but you're more alike than you think now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying that.
Maybe it's just Zachary. You know, the big guy can also be like that. It's why Belle and him get along well.
You don't hang out with him that much, though.
That's true.
In fact, if another person were to look at you and Scaredy-Cat, they'd probably think she's the childhood friend, not me.
That gives me pause. More than anyone, he's the person who I'll always have a place for. He should know that. Yet I can't bring myself to refute it, or even be angry at him for the suggestion. There's only laughter when the question comes.
Are you jealous then?
Not really. It's hard to be when it's someone like her.
It answers everything and nothing, but the hushed note in his voice speaks volumes. Of things he would never openly state. Of questions he never thought to ask until now. How different would it all have been without her? If she never moved next door, if she never dropped her passport that one autumn morning at the park, if Ashton had not found it, if she never had the unfortunate luck of finding something horrid left in that sofa. Endless possibilities, but at the heart of it are two things I will hold true. 1. These are what ifs I no longer want to know the answers to, and neither does Ashton.
I should probably tone down on the teasing after this.
Probably?
I might still do it, maybe once or twice a month. She makes the weirdest faces when she's annoyed. It's priceless.
But I'm sure she'd appreciate that. You were pretty merciless.
Yeah, I owe her an apology. For a lot of things. Not just about the movie house. There's plenty of other stuff.
Right, the movie house. Ugh.
I think I will. Apologize. I mean, when she gets better.
Oh, that's optimistic. We both lapsed into silence after, sitting side by side, simply enjoying each other's company, like how we often did as children. But it is in this moment the second truth resonates. Things have changed. Sometime between meeting new people and letting them stay, something has shifted. Although he may never regard me with the same longing he has for her, this dense, clueless man offered constancy my own family couldn't afford to give. No matter the depth of the anger and hurt I've harbored that night, I doubt this man will ever lose his place in my life and I in his. And even with the hollow ache his next words bring.
I just wish I could have said it to her a long time ago. Before any of this happened. I do care about her. Despite everything.
Oh man. Only a hum of agreement makes its way to my throat. An acceptance.
I know.
No further words are exchanged after that, and perhaps it is for the better. The quiet stretches on until Zachary shows up in search of us. By this time, the second and minutes have already blurred together in my mind. It must not have been that long, though from his expressions, dark circles under his eyes, red rimming its edges. It's as if he has spent another night on a vigil. Ashton tenses the second he catches sight of it, a multitude of expressions flashing across his face. Confusion, apprehension, dread, all in under a minute till it settles back to his usual impassive mask. If given the chance, he'd probably run back to see for himself, but Zachary raises a stalling hand before he can think of it. The nervous line in his mouth gradually melts into a smile, or one resembling it. Lately, seeing a genuine one on any of us seems almost like a luxury. Nevertheless, Ashton lets it ease him. There's nothing else after all.
She's stable now, but they've placed her back in a coma.
Okay.
She'll be under observation for the rest of the day, so no visitors for now.
Whew. Still not the best news we've heard in a while. I don't think that's what Ashton's hoping to hear either. We're back to square one, back to another waiting game with no clear end in sight. Of course, none of us mentions it, even if the meaning's all too clear in our heads. There's still, however, relief in this, something we carry when the three of us leave the hospital for now. If that alone will be enough remains to be seen. At least tonight, I have something to take my mind off things. Hopefully, where this all started would provide the answers I'm looking for. That'll be one less thing for me to worry about, if so. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden, whatever Isabella's claimed dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Of all the cabbies in Luxbourne, I have to chance upon the superstitious one. Still, not as bad as finding out your car's starter refuses to crank on when it was still working this morning, yes. Oh, her car broke down. But it's equally as frustrating when you're forced to walk the rest of the way. Or because the driver got a spook. Well, shit, I'd be spooked too. Isabella and him will get along so well. I do get his reasons after all. I've had my fair taste of the bizarre lately. Well, I mean, we are haunted. All of which might have been brought upon by that letter Isabella found here. Well, that's exactly what it is! But you'd think he'd at least be charitable enough to take me a little closer to the house itself, not at a distance 15 minutes away from it by foot. Jeez, wow. Good thing I'm not wearing anything too formal or constricting. Otherwise, that short walk would have likely put me in a bad mood long before I have to suffer in a room full of strangers tonight. Although, this soon proves to be a problem the second the driveway comes into view and I'm near the entrance. Severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Cars worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined line the mansion's front yard. Men and women decked out in their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once the woman standing at the front porch speaks, their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Presumably, Miss Wright from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husband beside her. A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxbourne.
Welcome everyone.
And Mum said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though, I admit she does seem familiar now that I've seen her this close. She's familiar! Yeah, which we were... Well, I guess our parents were friends, and we just kind of hit it off-ish. Memories of sitting in a vanity, not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my tastes. They were at Hannah's house. They flit briefly in my mind until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please, make yourselves at home.
I wish I can share her enthusiasm really, but being surrounded by all this extravagance, for the lack of a better term, merely makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. I shouldn't have let Luke's words affect me like that. I should have just gone ahead and asked Ashton like I've planned. Ask Ashton what? What? Should we ask him that he likes us or not? What? If he were here, then I won't have to...
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Wait, that's his car. The rest of that thought dies in my mind at once. A moment of astonishment overcomes me before confusion sets in seconds later. It takes another for my body to catch up. Once it does, when I finally turn to see it for myself, it's his familiar mop of hair that catches my eyes first. And there he is, almost an arm's reach if it isn't for the guest standing between us. Ashton Frey, standing in the Ermengarde Mansion's driveway with an air too lackadaisical. Is that how you say it? For someone who absolutely abhors parties of any form. Or has any business here, as far as I know. The picture it forms is too bizarre for me that my mouth speaks out ahead of any coherent thought.
Ashton?
He swivels on his heel with an equally puzzled face. An odd expression flashes momentarily across it once he sees me, though he blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
That in itself is weird coming from him. It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, the focus is at some point in the crowd. Is he trying to find Luke or something? Is that why? His gaze darting between people walking past until a small frown forms in his face.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Wasn't Zach
Well,
here?
if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
Chief?
Oh.
Ashton, what's...
Oh, Lee! Chief Lee! Unexpectedly, he places a hand on my shoulder, stopping me mid-sentence. He still has the distracted look on him, except this time his eyes are sharper, as if he has found what or who he's been searching for among the throng of partygoers earlier.
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this.
Thanks, Ash.
Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? But before I can ask, already he has turned his back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted this sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what exact...
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mum's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long, just a simple hello and a reminder to enjoy the party and to send their regards to the old student. But when the call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already nowhere in sight. With a sigh and, admittedly, a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and head inside. Even with familiar company, however coincidental this meeting is, this is somehow shaping up to be a terrible evening. The party hits full swing an hour later, with the host opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman, and the guest promptly fed. The band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Do we not know that Hannah's husband is Luke? Maybe. Soon, laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit, fascinating, and certain moments, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. Oh, we're not gonna dance with our suitors? And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. But pride and my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him, curbs that, as much as I hate to admit it. Because doing so also means outright acknowledging the douche's claims. Douche being Luke. That he has to be the one to tell me that That he has to be the one to tell me that still sends my blood boiling. I would have preferred someone more agreeable, less of an ass. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention, or a single glance at me the whole evening. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. The big guy's busy covering the event to boot. But at least he manages to slip in a conversation or two between takes, or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse? He's been flitting in and out of sight the whole time. One moment he's hanging around a small group, in another he's hovering around the string band. Just a second ago, he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table. Ooh, I would love some deviled eggs. A glass of wine in hand. The next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he doesn't want to be with any of his friends. Is it because his boss is here? What's the big deal about that? It has never bothered him before.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
Yeah!
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Thanks, Hannah. Her voice almost makes me jump, too focused on the gobshite wandering around the ballroom and my own annoyance to boot notice. If she's heard any of the profanities I've mumbled, or she's taken notice of my discomfiture, she makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile when I turn my attention to her. Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. homely, a bit too friendly for my liking, but I guess that comes from being raised in such an environment and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while, myself. She probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years, might have already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return a smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
Who, Ash? It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about. Oh man, she's smug. Until Ashton walks by again in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so this evening. Still, without a look of acknowledgement our way though, even if Miss Wright speaks loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then?
Ooh.
Because that would explain those rejections.
Ah! This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past, my co-workers more often than not assume he is. A few of my neighbours also think we're an item. Oh god, I remember this scene. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. But his reason's clear to me now. Still, the heat of a blush creeps up my cheeks. A denial ready, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
Both.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
It's infectious in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Oh, her attention wavered because she saw the ghost behind us. I remember that scene. Yeah. Even more, once I've mentioned who my parents are, her face quickly lights up and fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But of course, there are some things we really can't avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? In retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children when there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you. You were the cutest little thing with glasses.
Aw.
And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
I believe I still have the clothes she gave me, chosen, all so I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen, he's a detective for heaven's sake, but feelings, more often than not, escapes him. He's not entirely clueless about it, I know. He won't be harbouring affection for someone else if he is. Only those that aren't of his own escapes him.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander.
Oh god.
Andrew?
Which makes this whole talk all the more embarrassing. And the more names she lifts off, the more my discomfort grows until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is, married to a man she most probably loves at that. Debatable. While I'm stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one. Oh, goodness me, after all these years!
Always.
I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
Yeah, shush.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
I know it is. She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. Oh no! I take that as a chance to change the subject before anything more can be said over the matter. I haven't even figured out how I should feel about the things Luke told me. Now I'm getting dragged into a similar discussion.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though, to be frank, I doubt she'd be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Hannah's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky. Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I hope so. We'll see by the end of
I'm
tonight.
not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales.
Wow, are we quoting Luke right now? Oh.
And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best.
Oh, is that how it happened?
If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
How ironic is this? Like, Luke was the one lecturing us on our relationship advice while he's having relationship troubles with Hannah. So maybe his words are reflecting of what we're saying. Hypocrisy. That's exactly right. Hypocrisy. That's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? No wonder I lost him to someone else long before my own feelings are known. And then, I go and act as if I'm entitled to any of it. That, by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him, that he's not allowed to look at another because I'm the one who has stayed by his side the longest. Yeah, love doesn't work that way. When in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. Oh boy, I can only hold on to these, take care of it until the time comes I can confess it to him. Great, if he reciprocates, but if he can't, if he won't, selfish. I've been too selfish. How laughable that Luke's words will strike true up until now. There it is! There it is! Luke's words.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks have also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny how things I might have said with much certainty before now has doubts muddying each of them. But there will be time to mull about these later, because when the hush suddenly descends in the room, a whole different issue rears. Isn't this the time that Marianne got stuck in that little hidden prison as well? This is the exact time Marianne went down into the cellar. Especially when fucking Luke, strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mien he always carries around with him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
Before long, Hannah leaves my side to join him, and it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome, one and all, to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are all ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone.
His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city, of fucking course, I should have known. Although I'm partly at fault here, tabloids and the gossip columns have never been really my thing. Oh, that's why we never heard of them. I should have also expected that wherever Luke fucking Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it, figures it'll find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. Oh yeah, this time. It happens amidst a round of applause and hoots that people lagging behind the crowd they've gathered does not catch on until the crowd cheers turn into several scandalized gasps.
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
Oh.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Yo, Hans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
Oh, here we go again.
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby?
Baby.
Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
The commotion doesn't go further, despite the drunk woman appearing like she has plenty more venom to spill. In a little while, security shows up, escorting her out. Apparently, she's the chief inspector's wife too. As if this whole thing can't get any more fucked up than it already is. What a mess. But the damage has been done, and beyond the repercussions this will bring, I'm more worried about Hannah. Maybe Luke too, in part. I've seen the man that hides behind his self-importance, and it is someone who cares for the person who stands beside him. No matter how questionable that is now. After all, no anger is worse than that of a scorned woman. And Hannah? Well, as refined and well-mannered she is in front of their guests, I'm not sure if she'll be all too willing to tolerate this. Her party, her home, her husband, and that woman has just dared to walk over it. Yet, when I glance at her, there's only defeat, a weary slump on her shoulders, and a certain depth to her breathing. Like the fight has already been drained out of her long ago. I don't know since when this has been going on. I don't know either of them well to judge for myself. I'm simply an outsider who happens to have some kind of connection with both of them. But the air of a person who wishes for a respite, it's all too easy to see in her as she quietly watches the commotion carry on around her. In a moment before I can think it through, I'm pulling her to the side and waving Zachary over to us.
Becca! This is a real oh, hey, Miss Wright.
Hello, Zachary. I told you to call me Hannah. Did I not?
Yeah, you did.
Admittedly, this air of familiarity between them catches me off guard. I won't put it past Hannah. Her standing in society compels her to keep appearances, the be nice to everyone sort of thing. While Zachary's growing client base sometimes calls for rubbing elbows with the rich and famous. Although, from the way it appears, this one seems to go beyond maintaining a facade or work. I wonder how this friendship came to be. I'd ask, but we're starting to attract some curious eyes. Most of them are probably searching for more gossip, something to add fuel to the fire. Thankfully, there's no need to explain it to Zachary. He's aware of the situation all too well.
So, this is what you called me for? We gonna get Hannah out of here?
That'd be great.
Soon, he's leading the three of us out of the ballroom. Anyone who dares speak or approach on our way out, I shut down. What? I shut down with a sharp glare. Got it. A few steps, we're out, away from the commotion and the suffocating tension. I don't stay long with them though. Even if I want to, Ashen's still somewhere in that crowd. I've got to go back for him at least. No matter how much the idea of that alone sends an unpleasant twinge in my stomach.
Hey, I gotta go back in there. Completely forgot my bag like an airhead, and I'll see if I can tag Ash on the way out. You'll be fine here, right, Hannah?
Not to worry, dearie. I'll just be right here.
And this is the one where they both dance together, right?
Zach will be with you if you need anything.
Besides, it seems Zachary can handle this without another person helping out. In fact, for some reason, I've got this strange impression I might be intruding on something if I elect to remain. Well, I mean, did Hannah make any mention of us knowing each other? Better to entrust this with someone she's comfortable with. And though it might be a little inappropriate considering what has transpired, a smile worms its way to my lips as I leave. Good on them, I suppose. Chatter has exploded throughout the whole ballroom once I return. Worried murmurs, clicking of tongues, and inappropriate gossip filters through the thick tension in the room. Most of them haven't even left the premises, and they're already talking about it. Tomorrow it will be on the news for sure, in every local broadsheet and tabloid in Luxbourne. No wonder Luke's knee-deep in damage control. With the scandalous woman gone, he has turned his attention on the media covering the event. Though, so far, he isn't faring well in the cleanup department.
Now, people, we all know the drill. I'm sure you're all itching to get a start on those articles.
Good thing Zachary isn't here. I can't imagine a man of his temperament dealing with someone like him.
But if I read one word, see one picture about this come morning, even a single shot of the bloody wine glass the harlot held, you will all lose more than your jobs.
Luke's diatribe goes on for another few minutes, after which he excuses himself out of the area. There's a brief lull, a reluctant pause, before the place comes astir again, but shortly the buzz returns. Dancers have once again taken the floor, and their guests' excited talk begins anew. But I couldn't care less about any of this now. Simply standing in the middle of it already gives me a headache. When the shock has faded, I just feel bone-tired. I've accomplished nothing of what I've come here for, and apparently Ashton's disappeared sometime during the commotion. I'm not sure what pisses me off more, that he ignored me the whole evening, or might have just left without saying anything, or knowing he obviously has some other motive for being here. He definitely does. Can't he at least trust his own friends for that?
You didn't have to hide it from me.
It's the last straw. No longer in the mood, I grab my bag and head out, more than ready to end the disastrous night as early as possible. As it turns out, the night isn't done with me yet, because no sooner has the porter closed the door behind me, I find myself standing alone in the foyer with one Luke Wright. No sign of Hannah or Zachary, just him and the agitated clicks his shoes make while he treads around the empty room. Away from the media's prying eyes and the guests' judging stares, it's easy to glean how much of this scandal has him shaken. Not to the point where he has utterly lost his composure. He appears to have mastered himself enough not to. But an ample opening is there for a nervous edge to show on the lines of his shoulders.
What do you know?
The man is not as tough as he makes himself out to be. Sure, I've seen this before, briefly in that 1 second in the hallway at school. It's a strange matter, however, to witness this out in the open. Being behind closed doors, this is the real Luke Wright. Though maybe that's because he hasn't noticed my presence yet, busy as he is with his thinking. If he's aware, I doubt he'll be acting like this. His pride is one thing he will always wear with him. Even now, when I place a gentle hand on his shoulders, he whirls around to face me. There's a second long moment of anger flashing across his features before it dissolving into confusion. He tucks it away as quickly as he can, but it does nothing to change the impression I've built of the man in my head.
Daisy, must you be everywhere?
We've only met 3 times, Luke. Quit the dramatics. Besides, shouldn't you be aware of who gets invited to your party?
If I was, there wouldn't be any of that scene tonight. That Munter wouldn't even get an inch within this property. I'd banner off Luxborn if I could.
He probably pawns everything off to the servants and Hannah. Pompous elite douche.
Did you just come out here to lecture me about it? Because, Daisy, I can already feel one coming tomorrow. I don't need to hear one from you tonight.
You are a very unpleasant man.
So I've been told. Will that be all? If so, I suggest you go back and join every bloody goss in that room.
Not everything. As unpleasant and frustrating talking with this man is, he deserves the benefit of the doubt at least. The questions and criticisms aren't lacking, of course, but right this instance, there's only one that comes to mind. Is it true, or you should be with your wife? What shall we say to Luke Wright? Wow, we're on very good terms with Luke. Wow, god damn. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Should we doubt him and say, is it true? Or should we say, you should be with your wife, number 2, and give some advice? So what do you think we should say? Doubt, or should we give him advice? Number 2, Ruth. Alright, 5 seconds left, everyone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go with you should be with your wife.
You know, brooding over here isn't going to fix this mess.
Let's see the relationship. Ooh, that was a plus. Okay.
Again with the lecture.
Will you stop calling it that?
Very well, what should we call this then? A heart-to-heart?
Oh my god, wait. If he sees Hannah is dancing with Zach at this moment. Oh no! Oh no!
Please don't. I might puke. And just so you know, I don't want to talk about feelings. Ever.
Sure.
This isn't one, all right? It's just a friendly concern. Bloody hell! Can't you just take it for what it is?
He pauses at that. Suddenly, he doesn't know what to do with his hands, and in the end, he simply stuffs them back to his pockets and sulks. Oh, because no one's ever showed concern. A friendly concern. There probably aren't many people who tell him that. He's a difficult man to get along with after all. I honestly won't give him a second of my time if I didn't see a different side to him. Dealing with him requires more than patience. When the awkwardness passes, mostly coming from him, he merely glances away. But the tightness in his shoulders has eased, and when he speaks again, despite his rather rude choice of words, none has any venom in it.
Friendly concern, right. While we're at it, I should mention that Hana used to call that Viper friend. Now I think she might want to strangle the Munta if she sees her again. After she's done with me, of course.
I doubt she's going to do anything like that.
What do you even know about this?
Oh, I know enough. You may look like a sleazy douche, and you still are, by the way.
It's almost comical how fast his face shifts from mild disdain to offended, but I don't let it distract me. These things need to be said, and he needs to hear them, even though they're coming from some meddling stranger.
But you have your few good moments. I might even say that you're a decent person, if I'm in the mood. Now go. If you really love her, you've got to try and fix this yourself.
Maybe tomorrow.
Luke!
Daisy, did you see her earlier? Was that the face of a wife who wants to have a chat with her cheating husband?
Well, at least you admitted you did something wrong. Good for you.
So he did.
How about a star? Would you like a star to go with that good deed?
Don't get used to it. Do you realize how awkward this is?
Oh, I do.
Would you like a star? Before I've even thought about what to say, I've known there can be only two ways this can go. All things considered, it isn't as bad as I've assumed. However, there are still some things my brand of encouragement can't fix. His marital problems, first and foremost, his attitude follows right after. Concerns aside, I can't help with those. Those are things only he can fix, and it's definitely not by standing around here bantering.
Don't worry, I was just about to leave. Feel free to continue with your brooding once I'm gone. I'm not going to tell anyone. Cross my heart.
You think this is funny, Daisy?
I do. Laughter is the only response I give him. With a slight wave of my hand, I end it right there and walk away. Although I can't resist the urge to glance back before I leave, if only to have one last look at the man he really is. But the instant I turn my gaze on him, I see it. Okay. Oh, poor Luke, look at him. Oh god, but that's still fucking freaky. Looming, hovering over his shoulders, drawn to him like a moth to a flame. Like the first time I've stepped inside this place in search of Isabella. Oh, that must be the shadow that's always kind of near him. He was there too, wasn't he? That man, along with his wife and another person, Miss McCulloch? And that shadow, no, a woman now. Her, no longer a dark blur. I knew it, that fucking shadow. Terror rushes through every vein in my body, a crippling sensation gripping every part of me while she stares at me with a glare filled with nothing but hate and venom. Oh, it's like staring at the eyes of a woman I've unknowingly robbed of something precious. I try to say something, a warning, but before I can gather my wits and voice it out, someone shuts the door behind me, as if to keep outsiders away from the secrets this mansion possesses. Oh man. The brush of fresh air against my cheeks does little to dampen the chill in my bones. By now the sensation, the fear and disquiet it leaves whenever I see her is familiar enough for me. Already it has made a home in my nerves. I don't even notice my trembling hands until I cross my arms across my chest. The cold from the tips of my fingers seep through the thick material of my shirt. Neither of it helps bring together some semblance of coherent thought in my head. But I know I should.
Someone has to tell that douche.
You should have told Marianne. I start walking back before fear can cripple me again. It's not wise. Returning, that is, especially after what happened. But Hannah's still an old friend. And Luke? Luke doesn't deserve whatever misfortune that letter might bring. I can't just leave those two in there. Isabella's right. she's real, and there's something she wants from everyone who has read that.
Becca, where'd you go off to?
If you're
Ash.
done here, let's go. I'll get you back to the city.
My mistake. The second his voice cuts through the crisp night air is that I've allowed my annoyance to get the better of me. Fuming, purpose forgotten, I whirl around and march towards him. One accusation after another piles up at the tip of my tongue, ready to be hurled at the moment. There's no hesitation holding me back when I fling it at him. That straight face he keeps as I do so doesn't help temper my anger either. It only makes me want to slap some more sense into him.
Shouldn't I be the one asking you that?
Becca, I've been waiting here the whole time. I told you I hate parties like...
And before that, where have you been the entire evening?
Right then and there, I might have forgotten him, but he's shown some ounce of remorse for leaving me like that. Maybe he could have looked away, given me a sign that my assumptions might be right. He doesn't even need to put them into words. A single gesture of confirmation is all I need. Rather, what I get is the same impassive look. He does that whenever he can't disclose anything. He does that whenever he's lying. In the face of it, amidst the thick tension, a frustrated huff is the only thing I can summon.
Be that way. Fine. Suit yourself.
No more words. After everything I've seen and heard tonight, I'm already too exhausted for those. So, without speaking any further, I simply walk past him and stomp over his car. Although before I can pull open the door, he calls out, one hand outstretched, a gentle weight on my shoulders.
Wait, Becca.
He pauses, his brows furrowed and lips curving into a slight frown. I can almost see the gears turning in his head while he tries to piece together everything he wants to say. Before, perhaps, I might have waited patiently for those. He's not a man fond of using words to express himself. More often than not, any gesture of honesty will only come out blunt and coarse when forced. But today, for one reason or another, I simply can't summon that forbearance.
Ashton, if you're just going to waste my time again...
Becca, listen. I don't know how else...
That much is obvious. Why don't you just take the whole bloody night? Go on. I can wait until next year. Better yet, why don't you just keep it all to yourself like you always do? It's not like...
Rebecca, will you hear me out first?
The silence I can offer him, but whether I'll believe what he's about to say is still up for debate. A very long debate.
I honestly don't know how else to put this. I'm aware your parents have some kind of history with Hannah Wright, and somehow you're friends with her. But you should stay away from these people for now, especially the husband.
Who? Luke?
His expression deepens into a scowl at my mention of the name, but whatever opinion he has, he doesn't immediately voice. Still, something about it has greatly displeased him, evident in the stiff note his tone assumes.
Yeah, he's bad news.
Ooh, it's my turn to frown this time. What does he mean by that? Do we say, number one, what does he have to do with this? Or two, care to explain your reasons? Ooh, what should we say, guys? Up to you guys. So, I think they're pretty much the same, right? What does he have to do with this, or care to explain your reasons? They both sound the same to me. Ruth, you say care to explain your reasons? Alright, anybody else? I'll give 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Care to explain your reasons?
Care to explain your reasons?
Please do. I've not meant for it to sound as harsh as it does, but anger and frustration have never been a good match in me, particularly in nights like this. How was that? Ooh, that was a plus, actually. Ooh, nice. Now we're back onto normal with Ashton over here. Oh, boy. Hell yeah. It's not surprising when Ashton jerks back, as if I've struck him. For a fleeting moment, something akin to hurt darts across his features, his eyes narrowing and hands closing in tightly into a fist at his sides. Then swiftly, he glances away and shifts his focus on the line of trees nearby, like an answer can be gleaned from the dark expanse.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
What is it for? For the party? For the vague answers he continues to give? Does it include all those times before this, the year's worth of it? I don't doubt its sincerity. However, at the moment, the forgiveness he's asking isn't something I'm all too willing to hand, furious as I am. It's frankly a wonder how I can keep myself from raising my voice at him. Man, Rebecca, we are a really hot little potato, aren't we?
We'll talk about this tomorrow. And you better have a proper answer for me by then.
There's a brief hesitation before I step away. A short moment of wanting to say more of waiting if he has anything to add. He's only silent, eye still trained at the distance. Man, why isn't he explaining himself? It is the last glimpse I see of him before I climb inside his car. If the door slams closed with the same force as the anger I'm holding, its sound merely vanishes into the night unnoticed. He follows soon after, and shortly we're on our way back to the city. Yet, even with the city's bright lights welcoming us, the dense, somber air from the mansion still lingers. The moon is almost at its highest by the time we reach Salem Well. Even after our respective heads have cooled off, the atmosphere within the car remains rife with unspoken tension. This isn't a problem so easily fixed with a few handshakes. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Ashton himself has no idea what to do when he alights and dawdles awkwardly in the middle of the car park, unsure. It almost seems like he's having an internal debate whether he should say goodbye or mutter another apology. I could have driven him away purely out of spite the second I've gotten off. Still, old habits die hard. It's late, and Ashton's flat is on the other side of the city. Irritation might still rear its head every time I look at him right now, but I'm not too cruel to put him up on another long drive. What, does he want to crash with us? Does he want to sleep with us? Or sleep in our bed, sorry? Especially when he still appears as if he hasn't gotten any rest.
You can borrow the couch.
I throw the keys to my flat his way before a protest forms on his lips. Although he catches it with ease, he eyes it with a wary expression and shoots a puzzled glance at my
You
way.
haven't been forgiven. We're still going to have that talk, believe me. But I'm not about to send you out on another drive looking like that. It's late. Go get some rest.
We're setting aside a lot of loose ends like this, but he appears to have accepted that reason, at least in the meantime. He does give me another questioning glance when I shove past him, pulling my mobile in the process.
Where are you going? I thought...
You go ahead upstairs. I need to contact Professor Andrew.
Andrew? Why would you...
Yeah, why?
Oh, no. Please.
Oh!
This again? It's been a week, Becca.
I thought we already agreed that was a dumb Halloween prank. No need to bring in the old guy.
Of course, he's still skeptical. It makes one wonder if he's even seeing anything at all. Figures this curse will stay away from the scoffer. But this is another loose end tonight, and that I can't just leave alone. Ashton's beliefs notwithstanding. Oh, so we finally believe in the ghost that we're actually going to contact the professor? Great. It just so happens that it's one I can delve into using means other than taking a look at the mansion itself.
Ashton, do you really think I still give a shite after that stunt you pulled tonight?
No, but this is...
I've spent so many years with him to know this is about to turn into another argument. Before he can finish it, I cut him off with a firm raise of my hand.
Look, I don't care. There are weird things happening around here. And yes, it's Isabella's brand of weird. Ghostly voices, strange sounds, and a bloody woman sitting at the back of my car.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to believe me. And I no longer have the patience to convince you, so just leave me be, Ashton.
He doesn't push it, growing quiet instead, although I know he has a whole case of it prepared inside his head. But there's a reluctant shift in his movement when he steps away from our conversation. Short of climbing the stairs, he stops, turns to face me with an expression almost too conflicted.
Are you really sure?
What?
That there was something? That you've been, seeing things?
What, you're finally believing us?
Yes, I'm very, very certain.
And, well, it's about time Rebecca believes it too.
Now go. And you better not break anything in there. The last time I let you stay over, it was that statuette Belle gave me. You haven't even replaced that one.
The last of my reprimand goes both unheard and unanswered as he disappears behind the stairs. If things aren't as strained, he might have a quip or two about that, followed by a light banter. Instead, for a long moment, I am left staring after him. There's something in the way he asked that nags, coupled with his expression. The whole exchange just feels unsettling. One that doesn't fade even as I gather my thoughts and shift my focus on another. Even as I dial Professor Andrew's number. And that's when it clicks. During the long wait for the professor, one stray thought emerges from the unease. Ashton has not intended for his question to be a jibe. It's concern. For what though? For us? For my well-being? The letter's curse? The woman I mentioned? The answers for those will have to wait, however. Finally, the call connects and Professor Andrew's voice echoes from the receiver.
Professor Andrew?
Rebecca? It's
it is.
What can I do for you?
I know, I'm sorry, but this is a bit urgent.
After all, this is a more pressing matter. Our lives might be at the stake. Yeah, it is, and we're still in the dark.
Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you to do me a favor.
Oh? What's the favor? October 30th, Sunday. Professor Andrew Clark has agreed to meet with me 2 days later in front of the Luxbourne's public library. He has other commitments, but being a long-time family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is, well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling in a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. If I want to get more in-depth information on the Ermengarde mansion, that is, not simply what they choose to show to the general public. As much as I hate to admit it, there's always something people censor, and whatever it is, I won't ever find it in the general section. Man, why do people have it in the general library then? And why wouldn't that information be, like, burnt? It has to be what they're keeping here beyond the public eye. The thought of that alone makes me antsy. Thankfully, I don't have to brood over it. The wait for the professor doesn't last long. He never did enjoy making people wait. Likewise, he dislikes people who are tardy. He arrives 5 minutes after I do, greeting me with that kind smile and casual wave of his hand. I haven't seen him in so long, but it appears he hasn't changed much. His familiar presence alone is enough for a fond smile to spread across my face.
Professor Andrew.
Rebecca, didn't I say long ago you can drop the professor?
You know I can't possibly do that. Even if I can, it feels disrespectful to call you by your name alone.
Both you and Ashton never listen to this old man. Kids these days.
All right. But just for today, since you're doing me a huge favor, Andrew.
I guess you simply can't have it all, even at this old age.
Look, his name now changed to just Andrew. Isn't that great?
But pleasantries aren't what we're here for, yes? You mentioned you needed a permit.
Yes, sir, if that's okay with you.
More than fine. Anything in pursuit of knowledge, as they say.
He hands me the permit without further prompting. Really? Just like that? I mean, it's a restricted section for a reason, right? And just like he promised, he's also written a recommendation after his signature. This is more than enough to get me those files. I mutter a small thanks before slipping it into my pockets. Although when I look back up, his brows are furrowed, the very face of curiosity. Not surprising considering how vague I've been during our little talk over the phone. Right then and there, I've decided to tell him if he ever asks. Maybe not all of it, but stuff he needs to know. It's the least I can do to thank him. As expected, true to his inquisitive nature, he asks.
If you don't mind, though, I know you've always been an eager learner, but may I know what in the restricted section that piqued your curiosity?
It's the Ermengarde mansion,
You know,
sir.
the haunted one. He's quick to raise an eyebrow at that, and for a while, I fear he will take the slip of paper back. Is there something in what I said? No, it's because, was it Isabella or was it Zach? Shit, I forgot now. Who was it that also asked, I think it was Isabella that, asked about Professor Andrew as well.
The ones they have out in the general isn't enough?
I'm, hoping for a more in-depth read, sir.
The Ermengarde mansion as the Ermengarde Burks.
More about the history and the people who once lived there. The general section doesn't have anything much on that.
It was Isabella?
Oh,
Right.
I see. Well, you certainly aren't the first one to be enamored with that place.
Yeah.
It doesn't shock me. The architecture is admirable, and the urban legends are something to talk about. Why, just this past week, I've got a few asking me about that. Imagine that.
Not just Isabella?
I think enamored might be a little too much to describe our interest in it. But I have to agree. The mansion is beautiful, even with the renovations. They kept the stained glass windows, too. They are magnificent.
Oh, you've seen it.
I was there for a few hours to attend a housewarming party. The invitation was for my parents, but they couldn't make it. My mum used to work as a private tutor for the Evans. Hannah, right?
Isabella asked, Zachary showed him the pictures. Oh my god, you're right, guys! You guys are absolutely right. Man, how could I forget that?
Ah, I know of her. Her husband, too. Who doesn't?
Nah, he doesn't approve of Luke.
Luxborn's most popular couple.
Oh, he hates him. Something falls behind his eyes, the warmth in them suddenly gone, like he's reliving a painful, distant memory and seeing it play right in front of him. Man, what happened to him and the rights? It disappears almost as soon as it surfaces, but that look has unsettled something in me.
Is something the matter?
Nothing much. But you know, you're already like a daughter to me. So if you could, do be careful with the friends you make.
What's wrong with Luke?
Is this about the rights, sir?
Just a friendly advice from an old man. Don't think much about it. Anyway, I have to leave now. Can't miss my weekly serving of bear claws.
Real bear claws? Are they delicious? Never had them. And why is Professor Andrew and Ash all telling us that Luke or the rights are bad?
Say hi to your parents at the detective inspector for me, will you? I wish you luck with all that research.
I will. Thanks for this, Andrew.
Andrew gives my shoulder a light squeeze, the gesture of a younger me has always appreciated, and quickly crosses the street after. I watch him until he disappears behind the door to a cafe, until the doubt swimming inside my head finds a moment of rest. Whatever his business is with the rights isn't anything I should concern myself about. But somehow, in the grand scheme of things now, all of it feels oddly relevant. The how, though, I've yet to find out. And I'm hoping the library will give me the answers I want this time. Maybe it'll give us answers. On a gloomy Sunday morning, the library is especially empty, the second floor in particular. I've always considered this place to be a sanctuary, a respite away from the hubbub of the city. As a child, I grew up reading books here, spending hours here to no end poring over the pages, living out fantasies in my head until my parents called me home. Now it feels nothing like it. The silence is smothering, suffocating. Even with how clean they've kept the microfiche room, how the entire small of it lacks a speck of dust or clutter, breathing is a struggle for air. Not far into my stay, I begin to long for the noise outside, and perhaps as a way to calm this unease, I start to hum a tune. Oh god, it better not be London Bridges falling down. Imagine that. Oh, you're kidding me! Not again! Oh, fucking Kylie rubbed us the wrong way, didn't she? Why, of all things, it has to be that silly nursery rhyme. I'm not even an inkling. It does its job, however. It fills the lull with something far less awkward, far less deafening, and that is enough for a distraction. I have business here. Well, yeah, I don't care. It's fine. No time for silly daydreams, only important work to attend to. Even if there's a possibility of it being fruitless by some means, it feels like I have to do it. If not for me, then for the people who has been affected by this, what do we even call this? A haunting? A Halloween prank gone wrong? A curse? If Isabella were here, what would she say? Will she panic? Will she be angry I only listen to her now? Yeah. I mean, I'm fucking angry that you just listen now. It all stems from that one moment in the movie house, doesn't it? We could have avoided this had we only taken her warnings to heart. One stupid mistake is all it took to send our normal lives on a downward spiral. Frankly, I'm no longer sure if I'm angry at myself for it or at the universe for throwing us into this mess. But we can only make do of what little we have, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Going here might not be the right decision, but it's a start.
A good start.
It doesn't take much time for me to find what I need. A microfiche, is that how I say it? Of old newspapers, long kept in special storage cabinets at the far end of the restricted section. The year is 1620s and beyond. Before the city of Luxborn even exists in the records, when a mansion has just been built and Anselm is nothing more but a small sleepy hamlet near the river. A lot of pieces are missing. Days, sometimes several consecutive weeks without any records remaining. Often it goes on for years. Troublesome, but as it is, I'm lucky enough to find anything at all considering how far I'm looking back. Can't be picky now. Can't waste time mulling over what record keepers of the old could have done to make this a breeze for me.
I can still work with this.
The faint whir of the microfiche machine keeps me company as I go over each slide, each image, hoping for something that goes beyond what the local law knows. There are snippets, little mentions of the family that once settled in the house here and there. The usual singing of praises for the couple who helped brought up what was once a tiny settlement into a buzzing town. Nothing substantial, nothing I didn't know before. It continues on like this for a good while, until I come by the years after their deaths. The people of Ansem might have loved Lord William and Lady Elizabeth Ermengarde more in this passing, and held them in high esteem in the years after. But it was their daughter that was remembered fondly by the townspeople. If her parents built this town, Lady Charlotte was the one who made it prosper. Remarkable, considering it was a period of recovery from a bout of plague that killed half the town's population, including her parents. Oh, sorry about that. Ooh. Free at last, heir puts a stop to local slave trade. What's surprising though, apparently her time also marked more than superficial changes to the place. She moved things, changed laws, altered old customs and traditions. If they were done on a woman's whimsy, it doesn't say, but she seems capable enough for more than that. The gist of it is, the town she rebuilt, it's what eventually grew to become Luxbourne City, while the nearby Ansem village remained as it was, a relic of the old. A frown swiftly forms in my face.
So, why is there a need to hide this?
One by one, I tried to recall every lesson I've gone through, every book, paper, and journal I've read. None of those ever mentioned this. It's always the lord and the lady of the house, the endearing child, always an afterthought to those anecdotes. The one who always took her life in the end. Never someone who restored a town from the brink of collapse or brought new ideas to it. Is it because she's a woman?
That pisses me off.
Granted, not everything is sunshine and rainbows, not all aspects of her can be considered admirable, but this is history. Some parts are bound to naturally delve into unpleasant territory, whether I like it or not. Witch hunts, for example, became common near the end of her life, which would have been completely unremarkable and might have gone to become a mere footnote in history if it didn't involve Lady Charlotte and the very slave she saved. It caused quite a stir, enough to leave almost a week's worth of clippings. The girl was eventually burned, condemned by an entire town, at the word of Lady Charlotte alone. But this doesn't really have anything to do with the curse, does it? Unless that woman following us and this slave are the same person. Oddly familiar looking, aren't they? A tale of revenge? How cliché. However, with the lack of accurate photographs, it's impossible to tell. Maybe if I squint, the illustrations would start resembling her. But in my field, it doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. I'll be the laughing stock of the community.
This isn't going anywhere.
Mentally exhausted, I take careful step away from the screen, pressing a palm to my tired eyes. The lack of ample light in this area doesn't help. A headache already threatens to form at the back of my head, yet I'm nowhere near figuring things out. This is simply too much to take in all at once.
I should have asked for someone's help.
Now I'm at a dead end. I start gathering everything around me and placing them back in their respective envelopes for storage, the motions no longer new after volunteering here a number of times. I didn't make much of a mess anyway, considering the lack of materials available to begin with. I have to look somewhere else. The where remains unknown though. But just as I'm about to slip the last of the slides in, something catches my attention. My hand pauses, the microfiche halfway through its protective sleeve. Oh man, sorry, some kid coughed on me today. This is one of the few I've set aside without taking a careful look at. It seems like a gossip column at the first glance, but upon closer look, I slide it back to the reader, gently turning the dials in search of the page. It takes some time, but once the image becomes clear... Ooh, what does this say? Ermengarde heir announces betrothal. Oh, so they got engaged, married? They must have had this drawing commission for this announcement. I don't doubt it. The details are far more intricate, their likeness likely closer to how they might have appeared at the time. They're both recognizable this way, closer to those paintings I've seen in the mansion. However, it's the man standing beside her, Edward Godfrey, according to the article that caught my attention previously. Her first cousin, and eventually her fiancé. Maybe it's the posture, the manner in which he holds himself, or maybe it's the shape of his eyes, though I can't be too certain about that until I've gotten a better reference. So they're cousins. I think, yeah, back in those old days, or like in 1600s, or maybe even a little after that as well, They would marry their cousins to keep it in the blood. You know, the bloodline succession. Nevertheless, there is a resemblance. He looks eerily like... My head snaps up, glowering at whoever's running in the floor above. Any day, I'd march upstairs and reprimand whoever it is.
This is a library, for heaven's sake.
But now isn't the time. I've forgotten what I need. Without wasting another minute, I hit the machine's print button for a copy of the page, while my other hand moves to put everything back into storage. A ragged exhale slips from me. Relief, perhaps? Or maybe this is already exhaustion. Regardless, soon, I'm closing my eyes as I wait for the printer to finish, if only to stave off the headache building up from everything. Oh, here we go again. Sometime, I've even began humming the same song again for comfort. Despite my doubts about this, despite all the tension in my shoulders, this may be the small find, but at least I can start somewhere. We can start somewhere. There's a way out of this. I know it. The printer sputters to a halt. However, its sound isn't what makes me snap my eyes open. Oh god, no, not London Bridge. Oh no, not this London Bridge. A feeling, a chilly brush of air behind my back, brief enough for something sickening to suddenly lodge itself in my throat while I take in my surroundings. Oh, it's that suffocating sensation again, creeping to every part of me, crawling under my skin, draining me little by little of any strength from that day in the mansion. From that brief moment at the school, without delay, I grab the papers and make a quick beeline for the door. No! My whole body freezes.
What are you doing, Miss Pink?
Kylie? I hold my breath, not daring to make any noise. For a little while, only the sound of papers crumpling under my grasp fills the room. The excitement from earlier gone instantly, replaced by cold, seeping dread spreading throughout my limbs. But more than the fear is the anger. It pains me to hear her using my own student's voice against me, and more than once, I believed it was really her. She has no right.
Why don't you play with me?
Although she hasn't made a move, if there isn't a wall behind me, I'll probably take a step back. Anything to put a distance between us, no matter how small, as long as I'm out of her reach. But I steel myself, because if I do fall back, turn away from her, I'll be left with no way out. I am not dying here.
You think you scare me?
Miss Pink, don't be so rude. I'm waiting.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook!
Yeah, fuck you!
This is one Scotswoman. You aren't getting into an early grave without a fight!
Oh, now her accents come out.
Come at me!
I expected she'll lunge, prove to me what a monster she is. Instead, all she gives me a smile. Twisted and gnarled. It's as if time has crawled to a stop at the sight of it. A split-second decision. And before I know it, my body shifts. Eyes closing in anticipation, hands grabbing whatever's solid enough on the table on the nearby table and hurling at her. I don't bother looking if whatever I threw hit its mark. Oh yeah, did we hit her with a book? I run as fast as my legs can carry me, despite my heart threatening to burst out of my chest. But in this maze of bookshelves, with the whole place almost devoid of people, is there even a place safe enough I can escape to? Do we head for the door, or do we head upstairs? Oh god, what do we do? Do we go upstairs or towards the door? It's up to you guys. I'll leave this all up to you. So, if you want me to head for the door, number 1. If you want me to head upstairs, number 2. Oh boy, this is a make or break decision, guys. Gosh. What would you do in this situation? Oh, oh dear, oh dear. Alright, well, I'll give 10 seconds. If not, I'll randomly choose one. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Number 1, but to where exactly? Alright, let's go for the door. If there's one it is out of this room, out of this place, as far away as anyone can get from her. I can think about the rest of what I can do after I'm outside, when there are other people I can ask for help, when she's not chasing after me like this. There's no hesitation in my steps as I race for the restricted section's door, head downstairs, and barrel straight for the library's exit. Towards safety, in a desperate bid for my life, library rules be damned. I can no longer hear her behind me, but I'm not taking any chances. A breath almost escapes me as I near the door. A little more, when out of nowhere, a library cart careens from a blind corner and slams to my sides. My back hits the floor with a hard thud, the impact completely knocking the breath out of me. The copper tang of blood gradually spreads over my tongue as I fight to get my bearings back. I force myself to move, even with the excruciating pain coursing through my limbs. The exit's almost there, if only I can... But there's no moment's respite. Oh! Get off of me, bitch! The next thing I know, there's a heavy weight atop me, and cold digits slide around my neck, tight like a vice, closing in, leaving me gasping for air. Though my blurred vision, I can only make out the hateful gleam, the spite in her eyes as she looms over my body, and a grip over my throat grows tighter. Desperation kicks in. My nails dig into her wrist as I struggle against her firm grip, trying to pry her fingers away. No, dig her eyes out!
Let go!
Get off of me, bitch!
Me go!
Oh, keep the slider? What do I do? Okay, alright. Right. I see. What? Oh, I see. So this is what I need to do. Oh god. Okay. Oh shit. Fuck, this is hard. This is hard. Get off of me! I don't think twice. My limbs are moving on their own before what I did could fully register in my brain and my lungs could recover. Behind me, she lets out a cry, sharp, loud, and thunderous against the empty walls of the library. But the fear her wails brings compare nothing to the relief washing over me as I finally make it out. My knees buckle as soon as my feet hit the pavement, its surface cold and hard against my skin. I've only been in there a few hours, about 1 or 2 probably. I don't know anymore. It feels like an eternity all the same. My breathing hasn't slowed down, and I don't expect it to after going through that. I probably look the most undignified creature on a Sunday morning right now, out of breath, disheveled, slumped here with a bloodied lip and all. But at present, I simply can't bring myself to care, even when a few passerbys start giving me a strange looks. Stare at me all you want, I don't give a single shite. I'm alive. I'm safe. This isn't the end yet, but I'm safe. And inside my bag is something that could get us out of this mess. Nothing definite yet. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it's still something. If Isabella is here, I'm sure she'll feel the same. She'll even be the first one who put her faith on it. Whatever this will lead us to is a victory on its own. Now all that's left is to find the others and the rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Right on cue, as if an answer to my previous thought, my mobile phone lets out a beep. I pick it up, simply hoping it'll be one of them. Only it's a voicemail that greets me. From Ashton. There's a pang of disappointment, of course, but it brings some reassurance that nothing's happened to at least one of them.
Hey Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
He ends it right there. The message, less than a minute long, curt and gives nothing away. Oh boy. I let it ease my worries regardless and do as he asks. Oh god. Oh my god. Wow, we just got out of that one. I mean, like, if I didn't do that QTE, right, we might have just died. I was panicking on how to do it, but whew, I think we were okay. Because this too is another triumph for us. One less thing to worry about. And we are on Ashton now. Oh man. Wow, that was sorry, my voice is going hoarse. That was really long. I'm glad we actually split Rebecca's into 2 halves because they were like 5 hours in total or even like 5.5 hours. So let me quickly save right here. We saved another one. We did it. We did it, Ruth. Oh, man. So now we have Rebecca safe. Safe. Oh, boy. And now we are on Ashton's route. Right here. Ashton. Oh, boy. We're not doing well with Zachary, unfortunately. But, yeah. Oh, man. But, yeah, we've got Ashton and then Luke. I think this is going to be another fairly lengthy one, so what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to split this in half again tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll do Ashton halfway through, and then I'll probably do another one Tuesday, and then Luke, I think I might need to do on a Wednesday and Thursday, because it might be quite long as well. I'm not too sure, but it might be too long as well. So I might finish this series by Wednesday or Thursday. So I hope you guys enjoyed that a lot. But we will be back again tomorrow, same time, my normal streaming times, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Australian time, where we will be doing Ash's route. Until then, guys, I hope you will tune in again, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Until then, guys, bye-bye.